In this episode, what I want to talk to you about is why I'm here, what I do, how I do it, and how it's different from the coaching industry that's currently out there. You see, I also want to talk to you about why I actually have the credibility to be doing what I'm doing, why I have the credibility to work with some of the biggest coaches in the online space. Because one of my unquestionable stands in this industry is credibility, integrity, and living it to lead it. So, let me first get into my body of work and my approach to advising and mentoring elite online coaches and thought leaders in 2026 and beyond. So, if you've been a coach for a while, you have an established business, you are working with clients and producing transformations with people, you're going to want to listen to this because your brain has been over intellectualized. Let me explain. What I mean by this is you've worked with the greats, Taki Moore, Dan Martell, Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield, Sam Ovens. I could go on and on and on and on. Oh, wait, Alex Hormozy. Now, one of the things you'll notice about me is I'm not here to diminish anybody. I call people out online all the time, but I do not use their name. I'm not here to get into arguments or online fights with armchair activists. That is not my platform. That is not my speed, and that is not my style. But why I bring that up is the industry is over intellectualized. Let me explain this even further. You're constantly consuming content. You're constantly consuming strategies, hacks, ideas, implementing those into your business. But you're missing a key fundamental piece. While you're focused on your ideal client, your marketing, your brand message, filling your programs, should I run a value ladder? Should I go high ticket? I'm going to go from high ticket to value ladder. Oh, wait, I'm going to go value ladder to high ticket. I'm going to run ads. I'm not going to run ads. It just becomes this compounding effect of over intellectualizing yourself in your business. Ultimately, over time, you've built a great business. You have the revenue, but the underlying energetic currencies that you experience are frustration, resentment, and chaos. The consequence of this, which frankly is a whole other episode, is the impact on your marriage, the impact on your children, the impact on your health, the impact on your staff and team members, the impact on your quality of life. Because there's two things I know about you. You want peace and you want presence. Those are the two things that we all want fundamentally as people. But over time, as we're constantly consuming information, constantly implementing that, looking for the next idea, staying up with the new trend, over time, we are left in resentment, frustration, and chaos. But knowing you as an elite coach or thought leader, that's not why you got into this business. That's not why you left your former career and chose to go online. You left your former career to come online because you wanted freedom, fulfillment, and presence throughout your life. Presence with yourself, your body, your intellectual self, your emotional self, your spiritual self, and God. You want presence with your wife or husband. You crave presence with your kids, but you're too busy replying to DMs. That is the one thing that you want, is peace and presence. And this right here is why I do what I do. And there are two fundamental pillars that I want to share with you that I always begin with every client, whether that's with Amplify, the Dream Client Identity Engine, or the Elite Experience. And it is the foundation of my work, and it has been the foundation of my work ever since I came online. And this is what it is. We always first begin with identity development. Now, identity work really seems to be picking up a lot of traction in the online space right now. And I'm laughing because none of these people actually have the training, the credibility, or the tenure to actually talk about and distinguish and explain what identity actually is. Now, I'm not going to do that on this episode today because that's a solid 45-minute podcast in and of itself. So we will get to that. But identity development is looking at the patterns that make up who you are, the beliefs that make up who you are, the evidence in your life that make up who you are, your childhood imprinting, your acts of self betrayal and why you self betray, your self sacrifice, all of these different elements that fit in to what you call your identity. And then from there, we begin to distinguish and map out all of the patterns, productive and unproductive, that naturally on autopilot play out in your life. So then we can give you the tools, teachings, and frameworks to heal and conceal and move past those patterns that are working unproductively in your business and impact your life. So the first bucket that we always lead with is the identity development piece. Because one of the things that I've proven to be true, not from a place of righteousness, but a place of the actual truth, is our identity is everything. Because whether you read the Bible, other spiritual texts, the universal laws, God works through faith, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. When you read all of these books, there is one thing that they all share, and it's that you are the source. I am the source. And you are the source of everything that is working and everything that is not working in your life. And we really have to get grounded in that, because from there, we begin to open up the opportunity of the universal law of cause and effect. In my world, you are the cause, which has produced a series of effects that are wanted and unwanted. So what do we do with identity development? We go and we alter the source. We alter the cause to produce a whole new set of effects. So that is the first pillar. This works in tandem with the second pillar, which is business development. Now, what I don't mean by business development is going out and developing new business and lead generation and prospecting. In the context of my work, it's actually developing the components of the business to be consistent with the future that you really, 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 really want. Moving you from ideal client to dream client, getting clear on your vision, mission, core values, and standards, your brand voice, those things you stand for and stand against, your beliefs, your content marketing, email marketing, the CRM that you're going to use, whether it's Go High Level, Active Campaign, ClickFunnels, whatever that may be. We go to work on developing all the key critical components to set up the framework and foundation for your vision to be fulfilled. Most people in this industry are in a constant state of reaction, reacting to trends, reacting to what Dan Martell's doing, or Melanie Ann Lair, Alex Hormozy. That's not the game that we play. We play a game of being so settled in what you want that everything else gets blocked away because you are the source. So again, as a quick summary, the key fundamental distinction around here is identity development and marrying that with business development. So they both work together and seamlessly to fulfill the future that you really, really want. Void of resentment, frustration, and chaos. And we replace that with joy, peace, and presence. Now, who am I and what gives me any credibility to be talking about what I'm talking about right now? Well, I'm going to give you a quick little introduction on my background, my credentials, and why I do what I actually do. So, when it comes to sales, sales training, closing clients, I've done this at a very, very, very high level in two domains. Number one is in real estate. I was top 25 in Canada with Keller Williams for multiple years in a row. Then I went on to be the vice president of professional development and growth for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Toronto. And I was a founding partner, grew that whole business, and then I left to come online full time back in 2021. So, from a sales perspective, I have developed an immense amount of prowess, skills, and tactics to help you become an absolute weapon at sales. But not only that, I've practiced this at a very deep level in the online space. I have came out of the gate in 2021, my first month 25K, second month 25K. By the end of that year, we were doing $50,000 and $75,000 months like clockwork. Okay. But even before this, and I often say that I had two careers concurrently: real estate and being formally trained in the personal development space. I was a senior program leader for one of the largest personal development companies in the world pre COVID. This company got absolutely wrecked by COVID, but I left there in 2018. That was literally the Navy SEALs boot camp of the personal development industry. There is a reason that I was one of 191 people around the world to lead one of their core programs when millions of people around the world have completed their programs. I don't share that to say, hey, look at David, how amazing he is. I share that to demonstrate my commitment to my own growth and the growth of other people. I've studied and taken multiple programs around childhood healing. I've completed the Hoffman process and implemented that into my life. I have literally spent over $500,000 on my own personal development. So if you got more questions about credibility, you are more than welcome to hit me up on Instagram. Just send me a big DM. But this is a massive, massive piece of integrity for me, because most of the people in this industry have become marketers. They do not have the credibility. And I am not going to call out names, because that is, again, it's not my style. I don't want to get into fighting online, but someone who claims that they were a monk, yeah, they weren't a monk. That is proven. You probably know who I'm talking about. Massive coaches in the men's space, and I mean massive, present this whole aura and image of who they are and who their family is. I have clients who have worked with these people who tell me that is absolutely not the case. I have my tentacles all over this industry and have built relationships where loads of information comes back to me that the public never hears about. So my integrity in leading what I live and live what I lead is so important to the work that I do, and frankly, to allow me to get amazing sleep at night. So I'm going to wrap it up here. But in summary, the whole foundation of my work is this: we marry identity development with business development. When we bring those two, suddenly things take off. When I say take off, I mean your sense of peace, joy, presence, your revenue, and your fulfillment. In the second piece around credibility, I took a couple of minutes to explain that. Really, really, really important to me. I hold all of the training that I've done very, very near and dear to my heart. And I am certainly a servant of transformation. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's going to be a lot more coming, so stay tuned. Bye for now.